G'day, I'm Rex Hunt and you're not. Look, it's great to be back, it's just great to be alive, and I haven't been to the Tobin Brothers this week and it's fantastic. But we've got another good show for you. Why? Because I think it is. The response has been really good, and what's really made myself and the team really warm is the amount of people who are discovering fishing again, but more importantly, the amount of people who are grandparents who watch me right throughout the length of my career, which started in 1981 on Channel O with Rex Hunt's Angling Action, that they're getting back into fishing, but they're introducing their children and their children into fishing. And it's just absolutely fantastic. The response to last week's show was very, very good. Just to tidy up a couple of edges, Nelson is on the border of Victoria and South Australia here in southern Australia. The fish, I know it's a jewfish. It might be where you are, but it's a mulloway, and that's what we've got in southern Australia. The jewfish, certainly up the east coast, are the same species. But where we went with Lance and Mick Winterton out to Melville and Bathurst Island respectively, the fish that we got out there, apart from barramundi and mangrove jacks, we couldn't find the footage, or I couldn't, and they are called black dews, and they are a black mulloway, similar to a black kingfish and a yellowtail kingfish. And before we throw to our first story, a yellowtail kingfish is a speedster, and our viewers right across there in the land of the long white sheep, up in the Bay of Islands, they're yellowtail kingfish. In Victoria, Montague Island, where I used to spend a lot of my time with Lynn and the kids at Narooma, they're yellowtail kingfish. But across there at Bream, with Cole Roberts, Your Honour, a Supreme Court judge and a lovely man, that's a cobia, also known as a black kingfish. So thank you to those people who have just got on the messenger to Bob, and he conveyed that. Now, let's roll the tape because I've got a lot of people online, and I've got a few questions I've got to answer for people who can't get online. Tonight we go to the east coast of Australia, to Sydney Harbour, and you people overseas, oh, beautiful, you know, the harbour bridge, the ferries, the Opera House, the Sydney Zoological Gardens, but it's also got a host of fish. And David Lockwood, who is a great fisherman, but he's an even greater boating expert, and he writes for Modern Boating, whether it's still alive or not, but he is a critical boating journalist. Fair, but very, very good. He invited me up to the Pittwater.
Come share the great outdoors with Rex, he'll show you how it's done. When he throws a line in, the adventure's just begun. Friendly faces, special places, tips that never fail ya. Come with Rex Hunt Fishing Australia. Out on the mighty ocean, a secluded bay somewhere. When and where they're biting, you can bet you'll find Rex there. All is quiet and peaceful, then you hear that famous crack.
Absolutely magnificent. Will you take a look at that?
The latest gap on tackle, how it works and why. Stories of the ones that got away in days gone by. Friendly faces, special places, tips that never fail ya. Come with Rex Hunt Fishing Australia.
Folks, isn't this just magnificent? This is Pittwater, north of Sydney. And a lot of our New South Wales viewers would recognise it as not only being a summer, but also a winter playground for all types of water sports, including, of course, fishing, in brackets, angling folks. Now, with me today is one of my friends, David Lockwood from Modern Boating Magazine. And David, what have you got in store for us today?
Well, Rex, Pittwater being such a diverse estuary that it is and full of different fish species, I think we'll fish a nice little reef down off this point down here, and hopefully, instead of putting all our eggs in one basket, we'll try and get a mix of fish. Maybe a few bream, maybe a few whiting and flathead, even a small snapper if we're lucky.
Fantastic. Sounds impressive, doesn't it, folks? And that's what it's all about. When you don't know an area too well, like I don't know this area too well, you seek out the local knowledge, because then you've got a chance, an above average chance at that, of catching a fish. most important thing, David, if it doesn't work, I can blame you.
No, please.
Yeah, please, drive on. Thank you very much. A little bit of activity here, folks. About 20 minutes before darkness falls over the Pittwater, just before it meets with Broken Bay, just north of Sydney. Now, this is a new concoction I've been working on with my son, the old Rex Hunt Burley. It's a matter of introducing some foreign substance into the water. Now, it can be the form of these pellets, or it can be the form of, say, the head of a prawn, which I just take off and use for bait and throw the head in, or a tiny prawn which is absolutely useless for bait, can be introduced into the water, and that brings the species towards you. Now, the reason your burley is this, that there's just millions and millions of square metres of water here, and what you're trying to do is isolate the fish into one area. So the reason why you try and get them into your area is so you can catch them. Now, this is nothing to write home about. I've got a little rod over the side, and have a look at this. Now everyone says, have a look at the size of fish Hunty's just caught. But this is the action that we're starting to look for. We've come for bigger fish than this, don't worry about this. But this little cocky snapper, he sampled that worm, and he's a few weeks old. I'll give him the kiss and pop him back into the system, and let's hope we meet him again on Rex Hunt Fishing Australia, 10 years' time, a 20-pounder. The system's starting to work. The birds are becoming active, the little fish are starting to come round, and things are happening here. I just had another bite on that rod there, and I got done. So things are starting to happen.
Not a big fish. There's another little red.
No shortage of them around, mate.
There's a heap of them around. They're not those tiny ones, but they're, you know, give them a couple of years, they'll be legal. But very pretty fish, aren't they, Rex?
Oh, nearly lost the rod over the side over here. And I had a little bit of an inquiry here on this little rod. Now, this doesn't feel like a little cocky snapper. Again, this feels more like something like a Bream or a Trevally, or no, it's a young Bream. Now, this is a good sign. This is a black Bream, as against our yellowfin Bream that goes to sea and moves along the northern and central coast beaches of New South Wales. This is a black Bream, clearly undersized, but once again, isn't it marvellous to see this system alive and well? And I can tell you now, it's pretty frosty out here. There's a little bit of frost on the pumpkin, and these little gloves that I picked up from the Complete Angler are quite unique. They're made out of wetsuit material. I can just pull the tops over the old phalanges and keep nice and warm, just like that. And of course, when I've got to put a worm on or tie a hook on, I just sort of fold them back like that, and Bob's your uncle. Well, I reckon we're in all sorts of trouble here, David. I reckon there, mate. Sir Edmund Hillary, if he saw that, he'd jump off the top of the mountain. Have a look at that.
Mate, I'm going home to bed. This is it.
Oh, well, sometimes, you know, we've got to get done, but it's been very good of you.
It's been great out here, actually. The fish are just starting to come on the bite.
Oh, they're starting to come on the bite, mate, but I tell you what, I think we better get back to the hotel and get the nose bag on, because
It's too wet for us.
certainly going to be a little bit wet over there, I can tell you, folks, but it doesn't matter. Sometimes we win, sometimes the fish win, and the most important thing is that we've created a situation where, have a look at that magnificent whiting. Now, things are starting to come on here, but as I said, the elements have beat us. A bit of a southwesterly change come through.
Nice
and that
fish.
whiting is a beautiful fish. Mate, you kiss me back, but I'm not that way inclined. Back you go to Mum, and isn't this magnificent, eh? No matter where you go, you can create something out of nothing.
We had to hightail it out of there because there was some serious weather, and those people in Sydney would know that once you get a blow from the south, once you get a build-up and a front coming down from Wollongong. And what about John Williamson's song about Wollongong? How good is that? We had to hightail it, but not because of the blow and the rain and that sort of thing, but just let me say to you, I wanted to tell you about the dangers of electrical storms with aluminium boats and those graphite rods So there's a warning on it, but doesn't do you much good when the lightning hits a rod. Johnny Pearce is online from Michael's Exotic Fishing Thailand, where he got the big the Arapina. Fishaholic. Yeah, I'm higher than Joe Cocker even yesterday when I'm seeing the little trout in the Latrobe River near Hanno Parko's place. Hanno's on the Facebook, Hanno at New Goods or New Sports Goods. He's magnificent, and he made 9 today, which is as weak as water, Hanno. There's no doubt about it. Booney fishing, he's a regular. So Peter Pakula and Joe, Tailor and Bream, magnificent. Bob's gone white. Roll the tape again, Bob.
And folks, we are in the middle of a red-hot session here on the south coast of Queensland. With me, well-known Australian and world game fishing lure maker Peter Pakula. It's one of his favourite spots. And mate, you got the juvenile piscatorial kindergarten there, mate. I reckon I might have something substantial on here. It might be a Tailor or something like that.
Rex, I reckon this one's too young to kiss.
Oh, that's far too young to kiss, mate.
We'll let him go.
Far too young to kiss. Wow, have a look at that. Now, this Tailor, the only reason he hadn't bitten me off now, folks, is the fact that I've got long shank hooks on. I'm using some of the new hooks with the Rex Hunt signature on that will be available in Kmart later this year, and that is the only reason that this fish here has not bitten me through, because of the long shanked hook. The long shanked hook has enabled the fish not to bite through the line, because get through that line, we're in all sorts of trouble. Now this is very good bait. We might keep it for a slab to use for a jewfish. Down south we call them mulloway, but those choppers, very, very nasty indeed. Now, what we've got here, folks, is just a nice brim, I would think. We've got to be very, very conscious of the fact of what the term angling means. You notice when Peter's pulling in a fish or myself that we only bring the fish in when the fish is not pulling. If the fish is pulling that way, you've got to allow, through the properly adjusted drag, the fish to take some line, or through the bend of the rod. It's like the bungee jumping exercise. It's like a big, big shock absorber. So when the fish pulls, kids, don't you pull, because something will give, and yibbida yibbida, the line will break. So that is the sport of angling, and it's pitting your skills against the skill
nice little Tailor
of the fish. And it's a little Tailor. I'll go underneath you there, mate. Oh, it doesn't matter now.
No, it doesn't matter. It's close enough.
It's a little Tailor, and we've burleyed them up. And they're nice little fish, but you've certainly got to take your time. They're very, very good fish, these. Very, very good fish indeed. And once again, I would think that what saved me here is, oh, I don't know, when I lift this, I reckon I'm going to lose the fish. Now, oh, no. We can just lift him up like that, and the fish is sitting there because he's been buffeted by that long shank hook, and we have a red-hot bite here at the moment. An absolute red-hot bite. This is Fisherama at its best, folks, because we've got this burley going. Peter's keeping his baits in the water. And that's the essence when you get a bit of a bite, is to keep the whole system going. And why I say this is not to catch buckets of fish, because the fish might only bite for 10, 12, 15 minutes. And therefore you've got to put all of your energy into one session, because something can drive the fish off. Some big predators, small sharks might move in, and poof, they've gone in a flash. So you've got to get the fish burleyed up into your fishing area, and then you can catch some nice fish like we're getting here. This is an undersized brim, and he swallowed the hook, has he? Yes. So I'll just break off the 6-pound line. No, I've got the hook out. So Peachy's a red-hot session here at the moment.
It's hard to keep up with it.
Yeah, a lot of the male brim have spawned, mate, so they've certainly done their job, so there should be fish here for years to come, mate.
Well, let's hope, mate. Let's hope they're looked after too.
Magnificent. I got something on here that's going to take me around the back of the camera boat. But he's going to come up now, so I might just sort of do the old Pride of Erin and get him around there. Oh, these big long rods are very, very good in these situations.
Yeah, people
Very, very good in these situations, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely. People sort of say you should use short rods on boats, but you know, really you've got to get around so many
This
things
is,
like
you know,
engines, anchor ropes.
you can control the whole situation, can't you? I think this might be another Tailor, but you can control the whole situation. And we've had Bream and Tailor, and it would appear that this is another Tailor, it is. And well, I might be with the best lure maker in the country, but I'm also with not a bad fish finder. He chopped me off, you see? That's what I've been explaining all this segment, that the old chopper, well...
So he got his name.
Here I am again, folks. The old chopper, that's how he got his name. Now, thanks to Peter Pakula, and our thanks to David Green, who once again have shown us that South Queensland coast of Australia is a top fishing area.
Well, how about that? See you, Pete. The big long rods. Look, I think there's Wilson's company. Stephen Booth will be able to tell me. I reckon they've got the closest thing to those blanks. That blank was made for me by Wayne Wright at Southern Sport Fishing in Black Rock, Victoria. And Wayne is the son of John Wright, who I was partners with on August the 2nd, 1979, when we started up Southern Sport Fishing. And apart from Gary Marsh, in the same sentence, Wayne Wright is just a gem, but he's got bigger fish to fry. Anyhow, Garry Barmby, good mate of ours. Rockhut Creek is in the Snowy Mountains in southern New South Wales. And Gary and I headed down to the lake.
I'll tell you what, if you haven't got a coat on today, folks, you don't own one. This is in the high plains of southern New South Wales, about 3,000 feet above sea level. Across here, a private water stocked with rainbow trout. Now, it's been a vision of a lot of people in Australia to have private fishing waters where me, as a paying customer, can go and pay and catch a trout. It's been on the cards in America and Europe for a long, long time. And I got the message that this is not a bad trout water, and that's what I'm here for. The agent for Rockhut Creek is my old mate from Angling Adventures, Garry Barmby. How's it going, Gary?
Good, thanks, Rex.
Didn't make it any colder, did you, mate?
Oh, it was colder yesterday. A bit better today.
Nice looking water.
Yeah, it's not a real big lake, but there's a lot of rainbow trout in here. A lot of sizes, small.
How'd you go yesterday?
Got quite a few yesterday, up to £6. But there's bigger ones here, there's smaller ones.
Up to £6. There's something wrong here. I don't like it. There's no signs that have been shot by shotguns. There's no sheep that have been killed, gates left open, and cans, mate, that have been thrown. We're not in a trout fishing area.
Private property, well controlled.
A thing of the future, folks. Let's go out and see if we can knock one on the head, mate.
Not a problem.
You won this time.
Did I have a go the first time?
Oh yeah, he came across and he grabbed it, and I just couldn't get enough of his weight to set the hook.
Yep.
Got him?
Yeah. Bit of weight to it.
Yeah, nice fish.
Yep. She's still got a little bit left in it.
Yeah. Gee, what a beautiful fish.
I Might get the pliers ready for a quick release, I think.
Isn't that just pretty, pretty colours? Not many places in the world you could stand side by side a fly man and a spinner man without punching each other's lights out, is there, eh?
That's right.
Knock a couple of fish off together.
Of course, you've got to have confidence in that fisherman next to you.
Yeah, of course you do. He's probably closer to 4 pound than 3, isn't he?
I'd say so.
Oh, big buck too,
yes.
a big buck. Beautiful fish, mate. Gee.
Look at that.
No, you wouldn't get much better than that, mate, would you? Hey? Like he's a beautiful buck.
Lovely.
4 pound buck.
Barbless hooks, which makes it a bit easier to get it out here too.
There it goes. Ho ho ho. A beautiful fish.
Oh, no problem there.
Isn't that just fantastic, eh? Pick them up, put them back in, and let someone else have a go.
They weren't on the fly, so Garry got it on the lure. And that's what you do. And what I've found, even with Millbrook Lakes, of where I'm a life member up at Ballarat, that's one of the world's great fisheries with the Weigel brothers, is that even though it's a private fishery, doesn't mean they jump on the hook like a trout farm. And that little private dam there, they were tough. But Garry, he really showed his skill. There's no doubt about that. All right, we welcome Bren's Angling. The only Bren I know, Hanno, is Tangible Bren. You're looking at me, Hanno, aren't you? And great news your missus is expecting, mate. Just absolutely fantastic. And fix up that little shack you got. That's from her mother. All right, let's go back to Rockhut Creek. Beautiful place. I think it's time for me to catch a fish. And Bob, can you make sure in the next segment that Garry doesn't catch another fish? Now roll the tape.
Oh, look at the size of that bellway.
You see the size of him?
Yeah.
Oh, Garry, he had a go at it then, and I don't reckon he saw me. I don't reckon he saw me or felt a thing. Come on, you baby. Yes!
Oh.
Thank you, mother, for the rabbits. I'm in a bit of trouble here, mate.
Look at the size of it.
I've got the original torpedo on here, mate.
Oh, yes.
I tell you what I did. I took off that nymph and I tied on a little sunset fly, Rob Sloane's sunset fly. I tell you what, mate, come and have a look at this. Mate, did he say, there's Garry Barmby. Who's that bloke with him?
He knows you now. What a
Mate.
lovely fish.
Mate, there's little midges and little mayflies coming down here. And I just saw a few tailors, you know, down here when they just come up and they just expose themselves. And I thought, I'll put on something different, you know, because I've been giving them hell with that little nymph. And I thought, I had a couple of bumps. And, mate, there is a bit of displacement here, folks. There's a bit of displacement. Fly fishing's a lot of fun. What you're going to understand that it is just ultralight gear. Number 7 weight, a 2.5 pound in the old scale tippet. And once you get the fish on, you've got to use the arc of the rod as a shock absorber. And that's what it's all about. A little bit of patience and the arc of the rod allow it to absorb the shock of the fish when it dives, because you haven't got a lot going for you. Now when the fish starts to show signs like this fish is, of getting a little bit tired, it's time to have a look at the prettiest fish in Australia here at Rockhut Creek. Now, Garry, this is a beautiful male. This is a beautiful male. by the look of him, he could be 3 kilo in the new scale, but it's as if someone's got a paintbrush, Gary, and just painted them, isn't it?
A beautiful red around the gill plate there.
Like, isn't that just a fish to behold? That is just one hellish and lovely fish. And mate, if I could only talk to you like Harry talks to the animals on Channel 7, I could just say, I don't want to hurt you. Why would you want to? Like, it's too good to catch once. It is just too good to catch once. And tell you what, if I can just get that out of your jaw, mate, just like that. Just a minute now, just a minute. We want to have a bit of a look at you. Just a minute. This is a beautiful male rainbow trout. The male, because of the jaw, and have a look in the jaw there. I got knocked off earlier on by a nymph. And look at that, Gary. I've already taken my fly out of that fish. And I think the best thing to do, Gary, is to leave it in there.
I think so.
And because he's going to get rid of that. And kiss this beauty. And I don't usually kiss blokes, Gary. Don't you spread this around Geelong. And probably 3 to 3.5 kilos. I tell you what, if I start cracking up, please just excuse me. And that's the joy of trout fishing, whether you're in private waters here in the Snowy Mountains, or the Goulburn River in Victoria, or Argentina, wherever you go trout fishing. It's always great to catch a fish, and it's better when you share it with a good mate. And that's what Gary and I are all about. We're good mates, trying out these places for you, folks. It's a dirty job, Gary, but someone's got to do it.
Yeah, we'll probably have to fish on a bit more today, too.
Goodness gracious me. Rob Sloan, I know that this is probably not your style of television, but he's a lovely man, and he's the editor with his wife of Fly Life, and just wonderful. But Kenny Orr knows him, and Bob, that sort of thing. I reckon that strain of rainbow trout at Rockhut came from Tassie, but I don't know where. But there's a place that Johnny Fox, who's a mate of Peter Hudson's, the great footballer, he's got some wild rainbows in Tassie. Just wonderful fish. I think they ended up putting some in the Buckland River after they lost a lot of the natural fish out there. Patrick, would you rather play in a VFL Grand Final? Go fishing every time. Although I played in 3 VFL Grand Finals, Patrick, as a good ordinary player, on a small contract that I had with Richmond, Tommy Hafey said, yes, you can go fishing on Sunday, so I didn't have to run out the Saunus and all. The recovery at Richmond in the golden years was a couple of laps of Punt Road, and then the whale would waltz in and get the niner going, and all the frothies would be taken down with some hot dogs, and they weren't very healthy. Steve Jetson is a wonderful man. He ended up guiding me up at Arakoon there on the Gulf of Carpentaria, but he's a lovely boy. He said, hello, Steve. All the locals love him. The Murray River is between Victoria and New South Wales, but the Murray River in Queensland, was it impressive. Listen to this. Yibbida Yibbida, I've got to get my now. Devilfish, northern pike eel, and mangrove jack. Bob just said, let's get on with it. So press the button, Bob.
She's a pretty river, isn't it, folks? The mighty Murray River. Now, hang on a minute. It's not the one that runs through 3 states down south. This is the North Queensland version, and it's situated midway between Cairns and Townsville. The Murray River starts as a rainforest stream up in the Great Dividing Range and meanders through the coastal plains, turning into a mangrove-lined estuary system some 70 kilometres away. Steve Jeston and his partner operate their charter boat company, North Australian Sport Fishing, out of Townsville and Tully in North Queensland. Mate, it is a superb system. There's no doubt about it, the mangroves, and we've got to look after them, but this is a beautiful looking river. What are we likely to get here?
Yeah, well, Rex, you're looking at an estuary system with your estuary species of king salmon, barramundi, javelin fish, mangrove jack, fingermark, the whole lot, really.
King salmon, you mean sort of threadfin salmon, the one with the whiskers?
Yeah, that's right, Rex, yeah.
A lot of our folk at home would have seen me dong a couple of those on the head at Bathurst Island in a 1-hour special we did a couple of years ago on the 7 Network. You've stopped here. I know why you stop here. Tell our viewers at home why we're targeting this area even without a fishing rod.
Right, what we're doing here, Rex, is basically we're catching our live bait, which is in the form of live banana prawns,
Right.
around 4 inches long. Yeah, they're a great bait, and particularly for all your estuary species.
Yeah.
We use them live, and
Right, there's a bit of movement here, so you better do your stuff. And just while Steve is getting this ready and we're going to ambush a little bit of bait, the most important thing to remember is when you're in Rome, you do as the Romans do. We're at Hinchinbrook Island on the north end. It's just over the top of those mangrove trees there. And these guys here really know their stuff. You need live bait to target a fish. We're targeting king salmon, but we've got to get the bait first. Oh, there's a nice little shower over there, mate. I think we might be in with a show here on this gutter. That's not very good, mate. You've never done that before, have
there's plenty there, Rex. Look at them coming up to the net now.
you? Isn't that amazing?
They're banana prawns.
Have a look at them.
And we've got 1.5 kilos of banana prawns in the net.
1.5 kilos of banana prawns and some little fish and everything. Okay, what are you going to do
just
with
put
them?
them straight in the bin here, Rex.
Oh, yeah.
Put them over the middle.
All right. Isn't it great to see the system alive and well? The mangrove system is alive and well. That's terrific.
So then what we do with the prawns is we put them straight in the live bait tank,
Yeah?
which is
Ready and
back in
willing
the
to go.
boat.
Isn't that fantastic?
we just tip them straight in there and they'll stay alive all day.
Isn't that great? Hey, a bit of wine, a little bit of seafood sauce, but I know what I'd rather be doing on the Murray River in northern Queensland. Put this guy on the hook and let's see what happens. Let's fish, eh, mate?
Not a problem.
Well done, you've done that before. Well, 2.5 to 3 clicks from where we got the beautiful live prawns. We're ready to have a go in a nice hole here, Steve. Apparently there's a bit of a ditch here and this is where we're going to have a bit of a look.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We've got a 20-foot deep hole running in along the bank here.
Yeah.
What happens there is the fish move up with your tide or down with your tide
Yeah.
into that hole and hole up in it basically, because it's like a bit of a backwash there.
Okay.
Fish come in and sit there.
Fantastic. An interesting looking rig, the old Paternoster rig. Bill Paternoster certainly left his mark on the angling world. A sinker on the bottom, 40-pound line, about a 10 or 12, 15 centimetre leader off the main line, and the hook's bent, mate.
Yeah, what they are, Rex, is a mustard wide gape hook.
Yeah?
Carly, 37140 is the actual number of them.
Thank you very much.
What it does, it allows a good hook up. They're a nice fine hook, they go in easy.
Okay, show how easy it goes into that prawn.
Here's a live prawn of about 10 centimetres long,
Yeah.
and we just get our prawn and hook him straight through the middle of the back like that.
Oh, yeah? That won't kill him?
No, and then he's in the water and free to swim with a hook in him.
Okay, mate, so over near that little bit of a tree where it goes into the water?
That's right, mate. Yeah, that little area over there. Good shot.
How's that?
Perfect.
All right?
Yep.
Now the waiting game. It's all about the waiting game. Instead of bump that, Steve,
Righto.
wine might help.
All right, that looks good, Rex. That's what we're after. And that's a mangrove jack of all things.
Mangrove Jack. Now these are a beautiful fish. Now they are a killing machine. Can we get a bit of an idea of just how good they are as a predator? Tell us a little bit about the mangrove jack, Steve.
The mangrove jack's a predatory fish in the mangrove systems, and he feeds with the use of these large cat-like teeth in the front of his
Yeah.
top jaw and his bottom jaw.
Gee, that's big artillery,
And
isn't it?
they actually they can bite you reasonably well, and they'll
Can they?
like that.
Like that, yeah. So we can get the hook out, we'll let him go, eh?
Yeah, we'll just
No kissing this bloke on television, I don't think, mate?
no, mate.
Just on the
not,
cheek. What a beautiful looking fish. Pretty fish, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
And they reckon they're one of the best eating fish in the,
They
in the
are one
mangrove
of the
system.
nicest eating fish around, Rex.
Yeah.
Yeah. They feed predominantly crash tackle sort of
Yeah.
the bait fish, and
And what a beautiful fish.
yeah, they are lovely looking.
And they
fish.
fight dirty
real
too,
hard.
don't they?
Yes. Yeah,
Good
straight.
fun on lures, but
Yep,
they're
yep.
falling for the live bait.
Yep.
Okay, mate, do your
So
job.
we'll
and
just
put
let him
back.
go there.
It's interesting that you as a professional fishing guide, like a lot of the guides around the country and in fact the globe, are practicing catch and release, and it's the way to go. If you're going to have clients in 200 years who are fishing with your grandchildren, they've got to have some fish to catch.
That's exactly right, Rex. Yeah, we promote, as you say, like most guides, we promote catch and release.
Yeah.
100% if we can.
Yeah.
I think people enjoy the sport more than killing fish these days, and we certainly promote it to that. And yeah, I think that's a fishing for the future, you know.
Oh, mate, thank you,
That's
mate,
what we
for the
call a
rabbits.
devilfish.
A devilfish. Mate's got a head like an elephant man. A devilfish. Why do you call them a devilfish?
Look at these. You see these like horns on
It's
them.
not unlike a stonefish, is it?
No, they're in the same family.
Are they really?
Yeah, you can see these horns on them up here. They're an evil little creature and they do sting.
They've got the nocturnal eyes too, mate. See that? Like a barra.
Yeah, let that go.
What a lovely looking fish. Like really handsome, aren't they?
Oh, yeah.
And he makes a little bit of a noise, mate. Suppose if I had a hook sticking in me, I'd make a noise too. See you later, mate. Speak of the devil, I just caught him. Whatever it is, it's quite heavy. But it's not running.
Probably a crab.
Crab?
Or is it?
No, it's not a crab. I reckon it's a fish.
It's a fish, all
Of
right.
some kind.
Or an eel.
No, I don't know, but what it is, it's a very, very heavy fish. Now, the 6 kilo line, you just got to take it easy. You can't sort of bullock this type of fish, and he's running now. When he comes up like that with the rod, you then sort of lift the rod and then retrieve the line. There's a nice bit of drag on there, so if the fish wants to run, but I don't know what this is, mate. It's as dead as a doornail. You got any ideas, mate, before we see him on national television?
I think we got me bluffed, mate.
Well, it's something, mate. I tell you what, it's something that's got a lot of weight about it. There's
Yeah,
no
it's certainly
frogman or
got
anything down here with that guy.
Yeah, I thought it might have been an eel, actually.
An eel?
Yeah. That's
Have a
what
look
we
at
call a northern pike eel.
A northern pike eel.
Yeah, similar to a...
Mate, he's 5 foot long.
Yeah, similar to a moray eel.
He's got teeth.
We won't get too close to him.
All right, so he'll have a go, will he?
My word, he will.
Will he really?
Yeah, you can see the teeth on him.
And everything in the system, mate, has got a purpose, hasn't it?
That's right, yeah.
Like, you know, the mud crabs clean up from the eels, clean up from the mangrove jack, clean up from the bream, from the salmon, from everything, does it? Mate, he is a nasty-looking bit of material.
Yeah, he certainly is.
Well, the whole system seems to have closed down, folks, and sometimes this does happen. The barometric pressure or a cyclone or tide or something might have just sort of interfered with the whole system, but there's no bird life, no prawns. And our guide, Steve Jeston, has worked his butt off to try and get us a king salmon. But it doesn't matter, Steve, because we got some interesting other species, didn't we?
Yeah, that's right, Rex. We've got Mangrove Jack, which is one of the fairly savage little fighting fish and voracious feeders of the mangrove estuary systems. An unusual one, actually, a devilfish, which is, they are actually a poisonous fish. And a northern pike eel, which is, again, nasty to the fingers if you get too close to their teeth. So.
Yeah, well, we got a bit of variety, and the fact that we didn't get our targeted species just goes to show, folks, that you can't win all the time. And the old prawn as good as the time that I threw him out. The Hinchinbrook Islands, the estuarine systems, the little drains, the little rivulets, the mangrove, the magic of the mangrove. It's worth being here, and it's worth not catching a fish because I can eat the bait.